Hello and welcome to the English Academy. My dear friend, I hope you are doing great today. Today, we are going to talk about something that is more valuable than money, more powerful than talent, and stronger than luck. It is called the rich mindset. Many people believe that becoming rich is only about having a high-paying job, a successful business, or a lucky opportunity. But if that were true, every person with a good salary would become wealthy, and every lottery winner would stay rich forever. The truth is very different. Money can come into your life very quickly. But if your mindset does not change, money can also leave your life just as quickly. Think about this for a moment. Have you ever seen someone who always says, "If I had more money, my life would be perfect"? Now look at another person who starts with almost nothing but slowly builds a better life year after year. What is the difference? It is not education. It is not family. It is not luck. Most of the time, it is the way they think. Your thoughts become your habits. Your habits become your actions. Your actions become your future. This is why two people can earn exactly the same amount of money but live completely different lives. One person is always worried. The other is always growing. One person buys things to impress others. The other invests in knowledge and skills. One person blames the world. The other asks, "What can I do better?" The difference begins inside the mind. There was a young man named Daniel. He was not born into a rich family. His father worked long hours in a small factory. His mother stitched clothes at home to earn a little extra money. Life was never easy. Every month felt like a race against bills. When Daniel was a child, he often heard the same sentences. "We cannot afford this. Money is the biggest problem. Rich people are lucky. We are not like them." At first, he believed every word. How could he not? Those voices surrounded him every single day. As he grew older, he started working after school. He earned a little money and felt proud. But something strange happened. No matter how much he earned, he always had nothing left at the end of the month. He bought things that made him happy for a few days. He spent money to look successful. He thought expensive clothes would make people respect him. He thought the newest phone would make him feel confident. For a moment, it worked. Then the excitement disappeared. The money disappeared too. And once again, he was waiting for the next salary. Does this sound familiar? Maybe not with the same story. But perhaps with the same feeling. Many people today are not poor because they earn too little. They stay poor because they spend without thinking. They chase comfort instead of growth. They choose today over tomorrow. This is not an insult. It is simply a habit. And every habit can be changed. One evening, Daniel met an old bookstore owner. The shop was small. There were no bright lights. No expensive decorations. Just thousands of books. Daniel asked the old man, "Have you always owned this bookstore?" The old man smiled. "No. I was a construction worker for 25 years. Daniel was surprised. "If you worked in construction, how did you build all this?" The old man laughed softly. "I did not build this store with money. I built it with decisions." Daniel looked confused. The old man continued. "Every week, my friends spent their extra money on things that disappeared. I spent mine on things that stayed. They bought entertainment. I bought knowledge. They laughed at me. Years later, they asked me for advice." Those words stayed in Daniel's mind for days. He realized something important. The old man never said he was smarter. He never said he was luckier. He only said he made different decisions. That night, Daniel went home and looked around his room. He saw expensive shoes he rarely wore. A watch he bought only because his friends had one. Boxes filled with things that no longer made him happy. Then he looked at his bookshelf. There were almost no books. He opened his phone. Hours spent scrolling. Minutes spent learning. For the first time, he asked himself a question that changed everything. What if my biggest problem is not my income? What if my biggest problem is the way I think? That question is powerful. Because every transformation begins with an honest question. Nobody becomes successful by pretending everything is fine. Growth starts the moment you stop making excuses. Take a moment and think about your own life. How many times have you said, "I will start next Monday"? How many times have you promised yourself to save money, learn a new skill, wake up early, read a book, or improve your English? And how many times did tomorrow become next week? Next week became next month. And next month quietly became another year. Time never stops. Whether you use it or waste it, it keeps moving. Successful people understand this. They do not wait for motivation every morning. They build discipline. Because motivation changes with your mood. Discipline stays even when you do not feel like working. That is one of the first signs of a rich mindset. It does not ask, "What do I feel like doing today?" It asks, "What should I do today if I want a better future?" Those are two completely different questions. And the answers create two completely different lives. Daniel did not become rich overnight. Nothing magical happened the next morning. The world around him stayed exactly the same. But something inside him had already started changing. Daniel could not sleep that night. The room was quiet, but his mind was full of questions. He kept remembering the old man's words. "I built my life with decisions." The sentence sounded simple. But the more he thought about it, the deeper it became. The next morning, nothing outside had changed. The same small house. The same old bicycle. The same job. The same salary. But something inside him was different. For the first time, instead of asking, "How can I earn more money?" he asked, "How can I become more valuable?" That single question changed the direction of his life. Most people focus on earning. Very few focus on becoming. And that is one of the biggest differences between a poor mindset and a rich mindset. A poor mindset believes money creates value. A rich mindset understands that value creates money. Think about a doctor. People do not pay the doctor because he owns a beautiful house. They pay because he has valuable knowledge. Think about a skilled engineer. People do not care about the clothes he wears. They care about the problems he can solve. The same is true for every successful person. Money follows value. Not the other way around. This is why improving yourself is always the safest investment. Nobody can steal your knowledge. Nobody can take away your experience. Nobody can remove the skills that you build every single day. Look around you. Many people spend hours comparing themselves with others. He has a better car. She has a bigger house. They travel every month. Social media has made this habit even worse. Every day, millions of people watch someone else's highlights and compare them with their own reality. They forget that a 30-second video cannot show years of struggle. It cannot show sleepless nights. It cannot show failures. It cannot show sacrifices. Comparison is one of the fastest ways to destroy your happiness. Because there will always be someone richer than you. Someone smarter than you. Someone stronger than you. If your happiness depends on beating everyone else, you will never feel successful. A rich mindset competes with yesterday's version of itself. Not with strangers on the internet. Ask yourself something honestly. How much time did you spend scrolling yesterday? Now ask another question. How much time did you spend learning something that can improve your future? The answer to those two questions tells a bigger story than you think. Your future is built by what you repeat every day. Not by what you do once in a while. Daniel decided to make a small change. He stopped buying things just because they were on sale. He stopped trying to impress people who did not really care about him. Instead, every month he bought one book. Only one. Some people laughed. One book cannot change your life. Maybe they were right. One book cannot. But one book every month, for 5 years, can completely change the way you think. And when your thinking changes, your decisions change. When your decisions change, your future changes. Never underestimate small improvements. Many people quit because they cannot see immediate results. Imagine planting a seed today. Will it become a tree tomorrow? Of course not. But if you water it every day, one morning you will notice that it has grown. Success works the same way. The problem is that most people stop watering the seed before it has the chance to grow. Discipline always feels difficult in the beginning. Regret feels difficult in the end. You get to choose which difficulty you want. Saving money is difficult. Living with debt is also difficult. Learning a new skill is difficult. Depending on others forever is also difficult. Waking up early is difficult. Living with wasted potential is also difficult. Life never becomes easy. It only gives you different kinds of challenges. Choose the challenges that create a better future. One afternoon, Daniel met his childhood friend, Ryan. Ryan had just bought an expensive phone. He smiled proudly and said, "Look at this. Everyone is talking about it." Daniel smiled back. "It looks great." Then Ryan asked, "What did you buy this month?" Daniel replied, "A communication course and 2 books." Ryan laughed. "You always spend money on boring things." Daniel did not argue. He simply smiled. 1 year later, Ryan still had the phone. But there was already a newer model in the market. Suddenly, his expensive phone no longer felt special. Daniel's books, however, had already improved the way he spoke, worked, and solved problems. One purchase lost value. The other kept creating value. This is the difference between spending and investing. Spending makes you happy today. Investing can make your life better for years. That does not mean you should never enjoy your money. A rich mindset is not about living without happiness. It is about understanding the difference between pleasure and progress. Pleasure disappears quickly. Progress stays with you. The happiest people are not always the ones who own the most. Very often, they are the ones who continue growing. Growth gives life meaning. Growth gives confidence. Growth creates opportunities that money alone never can. Think about your own life again. If someone gave you $10,000 today, would your life change forever? Maybe for a few months. But if someone gave you the habits that help people build wealth for the next 30 years, your entire future could become different. Money without wisdom disappears. Wisdom can create money again and again. That is why your greatest investment is never your wallet. It is your mind. And once Daniel understood this, he stopped chasing shortcuts and started building something much stronger. One decision at a time, even though the results were still invisible to everyone around him. There was something unusual about Daniel now. People around him could not explain it. He still lived in the same neighborhood. He still worked the same job. He still earned almost the same salary. But his conversations had changed. His priorities had changed. Even the way he looked at problems had changed. One evening, while walking home, he saw 2 workers leaving the same factory. Both looked tired. Both had worked the same number of hours. Both received the same paycheck. Yet their lives were completely different. The first man walked straight to a shopping mall. He had already decided to buy a pair of expensive shoes. He smiled and said to his friend, "I work hard. I deserve this." The second man also entered a store. But instead of buying something to wear, he bought an online course about digital marketing. His friend laughed. Why waste money on that? The second man smiled. It is not an expense. It is an investment. At that moment, Daniel realized something powerful. Rich thinking is often invisible. Nobody claps when you buy a book. Nobody congratulates you for saving money. Nobody notices when you wake up early to improve yourself. But everyone notices the results years later. This is why patience is so valuable. Most people want visible success. Very few are willing to do invisible work. The truth is simple. People admire the tree. They forget about the years the roots spent growing underground. Your life works the same way. The habits nobody sees are creating the future everybody will see. Think about bamboo. For years after planting, it seems like nothing is happening. Many people believe the seed has failed. Then suddenly, it grows incredibly fast. Did it become successful overnight? No. It spent years building strong roots. Success is exactly like that. The world celebrates the moment. But it never sees the preparation. This is why a rich mindset never asks, how fast can I become successful? Instead it asks, what kind of person do I need to become? That question changes everything. Because success is usually a byproduct of personal growth. Imagine two people starting the same business. The first person wants quick money. The second person wants to solve real problems. After 1 year, both may earn similar amounts. After 10 years, their lives often look completely different. Why? Because one was chasing money. The other was creating value. Money follows trust. Trust follows value. Value follows character. Character follows daily habits. Everything is connected. There is another mistake that keeps millions of people stuck. They believe that being busy means being productive. But being busy and being productive are not the same thing. You can spend 10 hours doing unimportant tasks. Or you can spend 2 focused hours doing work that truly matters. The result will never be the same. A rich mindset protects its attention. Because attention is one of the most valuable resources in the modern world. Every notification wants your focus. Every advertisement wants your time. Every social media platform wants you to stay a little longer. Ask yourself honestly. Who is controlling your attention? You. Or your phone? This question may feel uncomfortable. But uncomfortable questions often create the biggest changes. Daniel started observing his own habits. Without realizing it, he picked up his phone almost every few minutes. Not because he needed it. Because it had become automatic. He decided to make a small experiment. For 1 week, he stopped checking his phone every few minutes. Instead, whenever he felt the urge to scroll, he read 5 pages of a book. The first 2 days felt difficult. His brain wanted entertainment. Learning felt slow. But by the 5th day, something changed. His concentration became stronger. His thoughts became clearer. His conversations became more meaningful. He discovered something that most people never realize. Your brain becomes whatever you feed it every day. Feed it distraction. It becomes distracted. Feed it negativity. It becomes negative. Feed it excuses. It becomes weak. Feed it knowledge. It becomes powerful. Every single day, you are training your mind. The only question is, what are you training it for? Many people dream of financial freedom. But very few practice mental freedom. Mental freedom means you control your choices instead of your emotions controlling you. It means saying no to things that feel good today but hurt your future tomorrow. That is real strength. A rich mindset is not built when life is easy. It is built when nobody is watching. When nobody forces you to study. When nobody reminds you to save money. When nobody tells you to exercise. When nobody praises your discipline. Your real character appears in those quiet moments. Because success is never built in public. It is built in private. One decision at a time. One habit at a time. One ordinary day at a time. Daniel no longer looked for motivation every morning. He created routines. He understood that routines remove unnecessary decisions. When good habits become automatic, success becomes easier. Many people wait until they feel inspired. But professionals understand something different. Action creates motivation. Not the other way around. You do not become confident before taking action. You become confident because you keep taking action. That simple truth removed one more excuse from Daniel's life. He finally understood that the richest people do not always think bigger than everyone else. Very often, they simply think longer. While others focus on today. They quietly build for tomorrow. The next few months were not exciting. There were no dramatic changes. No sudden success. No one came to Daniel and said, "Congratulations. Your mindset is changing." Real life does not work like that. Most meaningful changes happen so quietly that you almost miss them. That is why many people give up too early. They expect fast results from slow habits. But life rewards consistency, not impatience. Every morning, Daniel woke up 1 hour earlier. Not because he enjoyed leaving his warm bed. He did it because he understood something important. Your future is created before the world even wakes up. While many people were still sleeping, he was reading, learning, improving his communication, and writing down new ideas. Some mornings he felt motivated. Many mornings he did not. But he stopped depending on motivation. He trusted his routine. One day, a colleague asked him, "How do you stay so disciplined?" Daniel smiled. "I don't." The man looked confused. Daniel continued. "There are many days when I don't feel like studying. There are days when I feel lazy. There are days when I want to waste time just like everyone else. The difference is that I don't let my feelings make my decisions." That sentence stayed with his colleague for a long time. And maybe it should stay with you too. Because your feelings change every day. Your goals should not. If you only work when you feel inspired, you will accomplish very little. Successful people are not always more talented. Very often, they are simply more consistent. Think about going to the gym. Nobody becomes strong after one workout. Nobody becomes unhealthy after one unhealthy meal. Everything depends on repetition. Life is always asking the same question. What are you repeating? Are you repeating excuses? Or are you repeating discipline? The answer shapes your future. There is another habit that separates rich thinkers from poor thinkers. Rich thinkers ask better questions. Instead of saying, "Why is my life so difficult?" they ask, "What can this situation teach me?" Instead of saying, "I can't do this," they ask, "How can I learn to do this?" Instead of blaming other people, they become curious. Curiosity opens doors that complaints never will. Every problem carries a lesson. But only if you are willing to look for it. One evening, Daniel met the bookstore owner again. The old man noticed the notebook in Daniel's hand. He smiled and asked, "So, what have you been writing?" Daniel replied, "My goals. The lessons I learn every day. And the mistakes I don't want to repeat." The old man nodded. "Good. Most people remember their failures. Few people study them." Daniel asked, "What do you mean?" The old man picked up a pencil. "If you lose money and never ask why, you will probably lose money again. If a business fails and you only feel embarrassed, you may repeat the same mistake. Failure becomes valuable only when it teaches you something. Daniel realized that his biggest mistakes had also been his greatest teachers. He remembered every impulsive purchase, every opportunity he ignored, every excuse he made. Instead of feeling ashamed, he decided to learn from them. That decision gave him something more valuable than confidence. It gave him wisdom. Many people fear failure so much that they never begin. But avoiding failure does not guarantee success. It only guarantees regret. Imagine reaching the end of your life and realizing that you never tried because you were afraid. That is a much heavier burden than failing. Failure hurts for a moment. Regret can stay for a lifetime. The richest mindset is not one that never fails. It is one that refuses to stop learning. There is another dangerous habit that quietly destroys dreams. Waiting for the perfect time. I'll start when I have more money. I'll start next year. I'll start after things become easier. But life rarely becomes easier before you take action. In fact, action is often what makes life easier. The perfect time is a beautiful lie. It keeps people comfortable. Comfort feels safe. But comfort also keeps many people exactly where they are. Growth usually begins the moment comfort ends. Think back to every important achievement in your life. Learning to ride a bicycle. Giving your first presentation. Starting a new job. Speaking English for the first time. At the beginning, all of them felt uncomfortable. If you had waited until they became easy, you would still be waiting. The same is true today. Your future is hiding behind the things you keep postponing. Daniel finally understood something that many people never realize. Small decisions are never really small. Choosing to read instead of scroll. Choosing to save instead of spend. Choosing to learn instead of complain. Choosing to act instead of delay. Each decision seems ordinary. But together, they quietly build an extraordinary life. And although nobody around him could see it yet, Daniel was no longer becoming someone who simply wanted to be rich. He was becoming someone capable of creating wealth, opportunities, and a future that would one day reflect every quiet decision he had made. As the months passed, Daniel noticed something interesting. His income had increased only a little. But his confidence had grown a lot. Not because of the money in his bank account. Because of the person he was becoming. For the first time in his life, he stopped worrying about looking successful. Instead, he focused on becoming successful. There is a huge difference between the two. Looking successful is expensive. Becoming successful is valuable. Many people buy things they cannot afford just to impress people they barely know. For a few minutes, they receive compliments. Then the excitement disappears. The monthly payments remain. The stress remains. The pressure remains. A rich mindset understands something that many people never learn. Your lifestyle should never grow faster than your income. This sounds simple. But it is one of the biggest reasons why so many people struggle financially. Every time their income increases, their expenses increase even faster. A better salary becomes a bigger house. A bigger house becomes a more expensive car. A more expensive car becomes higher monthly payments. Then they wonder why they still feel broke. The problem is not always low income. Sometimes the problem is unlimited spending. Money is like water. If your bucket has holes, pouring in more water will never solve the problem. First, you fix the holes. Then you fill the bucket. The same is true with wealth. Before earning more, learn to manage what you already have. Daniel started tracking every dollar he spent. At first, he thought it was unnecessary. But after 1 month, he was shocked. Small purchases had quietly taken away a large part of his income. A coffee here. An online subscription there. Food delivery. Impulse shopping. None of them looked dangerous alone. Together, they became a habit. This is how financial problems usually begin. Not with one big mistake, but with hundreds of small decisions that nobody pays attention to. Life works the same way. Success is rarely created by one giant decision. It is built through thousands of small choices. Never underestimate small habits. They are shaping your future every single day. Around this time, Daniel received an unexpected bonus from work. It was the biggest amount of extra money he had ever earned. His friends immediately started making plans. Let's buy new phones. Let's take a vacation. We should celebrate. Daniel smiled. He celebrated too. But in a different way. He invested most of the bonus into learning new skills. He kept a small part for enjoyment. The rest became an investment in his future. Some people thought he was boring. Others thought he was too careful. Daniel no longer cared. He had finally stopped making decisions based on other people's opinions. That is another sign of a rich mindset. You stop asking, "What will people think?" And you start asking, "Will this decision help the person I want to become?" Those two questions lead to completely different lives. Think about this honestly. How many decisions have you made simply because everyone else was doing the same thing? Choosing a career. Buying clothes. Using social media. Even spending money. Crowds often create comfort. But they do not always create success. If you follow the crowd in every decision, you will probably reach the same destination as the crowd. A rich mindset is willing to think independently. Not because it wants to be different. Because it wants to be intentional. One afternoon, Daniel visited the bookstore again. The old man was arranging books on a shelf. Without looking up, he asked, "Tell me something. If I gave two people the same amount of money today, would they both become wealthy?" Daniel smiled. "A few months ago I would have said yes. Now I know the answer is no." The old man nodded. Exactly. Money only reveals who you already are. If someone is careless, more money usually creates bigger mistakes. If someone is disciplined, more money creates bigger opportunities. Daniel stood there quietly. He realized that wealth is not just something you have. It is something you become capable of handling. Many people pray for opportunities they are not prepared to manage. Preparation always comes before responsibility. This is true in business, in relationships, in health, and in money. The person you are today determines what you can successfully handle tomorrow. That is why personal growth is never a waste of time. Every page you read, every skill you practice, every healthy habit you build, every difficult conversation you learn to handle, all of it is preparing you for opportunities that have not arrived yet. One day, those opportunities will come. The real question is, will you be ready when they do? Daniel no longer feared that question. Because every ordinary day, without realizing it, he was quietly preparing for a future that looked impossible. Only a year before, and the greatest change was still happening where no one else could see it inside his own mind. Years passed. Not 10. Not 20. Just enough time for small decisions to become visible. One morning, Daniel was invited to speak to a group of young students. As he stood in front of them, he smiled. He remembered the young man who once believed that a better salary would solve every problem. Now he knew the truth. A better mindset solves problems that money never can. One student raised his hand. "Sir, what was the biggest reason behind your success?" Daniel stayed silent for a few seconds. Then he answered. "It was not intelligence. It was not luck. It was not knowing the right people. The biggest reason was that I stopped trying to change my income before changing myself." The room became quiet. Many students expected a secret. A shortcut. A special investment. Instead, they received something much more valuable. Perspective. Daniel continued. When you improve yourself every day, your income eventually catches up. But when you only chase money without improving yourself, success rarely lasts. Those words reminded him of the bookstore owner. The lessons had become part of his life. Now he was passing them to someone else. That is how wisdom grows. It is shared, not stored. There is another misunderstanding about wealth. Many people believe rich people never make mistakes. That is not true. Rich thinkers make mistakes all the time. The difference is that they make new mistakes. Poor thinkers often repeat the same mistakes. Growth requires learning. Learning requires mistakes. Mistakes require courage. If you are afraid of making mistakes, you will also be afraid of growing. Imagine a child learning to walk. The child falls again and again. Does anyone call that child a failure? Of course not. Everyone understands that falling is part of learning. So why do adults treat themselves differently? One failed interview. I am not good enough. One failed business. I should give up. One rejection. Success is not for me. The problem is not failure. The problem is the story people tell themselves after failing. A rich mindset changes that story. Instead of saying, I failed, it says, I learned. That small change in language creates a huge change in life. Your brain listens to the words you repeat. If you constantly tell yourself that you are unlucky, your mind starts looking for proof. If you constantly tell yourself that you are improving, your mind starts searching for opportunities. Your thoughts become filters. They decide what you notice. This is why successful people protect their mindset so carefully. Not because they ignore reality. Because they understand that attitude shapes action. And action shapes results. There is one habit Daniel never stopped practicing. Gratitude. Every evening, before sleeping, he wrote down 3 things he was thankful for. Some days the list looked simple. A healthy body. A peaceful meal. A good conversation. A lesson from a difficult day. People often underestimate gratitude. But gratitude changes your focus. When you only focus on what you lack, nothing ever feels enough. When you appreciate what you already have, you gain the strength to build even more. Contentment and ambition can exist together. You can be thankful for today, while still working for a better tomorrow. That balance creates peace. Without gratitude, success often feels empty. Without ambition, potential remains unused. A rich mindset keeps both. As Daniel finished speaking, one student asked another question. If someone watching you today wants to change their life, where should they start? Daniel smiled. He remembered asking almost the same question years ago. His answer was simple. Start where you are. Use what you have. Learn what you don't know. Don't wait until life becomes perfect. Perfection never arrives. Those words stayed in the room long after the conversation ended. Now let me ask you something. Not Daniel. You. If your salary doubled tomorrow, would your habits stay the same? Would you save more? Would you learn more? Would you invest more? Or would you simply spend more? Be honest with yourself. Because your answer reveals more than your bank account ever can. A rich mindset is not measured by how much money you have today. It is measured by how wisely you prepare for tomorrow. The truth is that most people spend years trying to change their circumstances. Very few spend time changing themselves. Yet your circumstances usually reflect the person you have become. Change your thinking. And your decisions begin to change. Change your decisions. And your habits begin to change. Change your habits. And slowly, almost silently, your entire life begins to move in a direction that once felt impossible. That is exactly what happened to Daniel. His greatest victory was never the money he earned. It was becoming the kind of person who could create value, remain humble, continue learning, and keep moving forward regardless of what life placed in front of him. Life never became perfect for Daniel. There were still unexpected expenses. There were still difficult days. There were still moments of disappointment. But something had changed forever. Problems no longer controlled his thinking. Instead, his thinking controlled the way he faced problems. That is the real power of a rich mindset. Many people believe wealth removes stress. The truth is different. Wealth gives you more choices. And good choices come from a strong mind. Not from a large bank account. One afternoon, Daniel walked past the same small bookstore where everything had started. The old owner was no longer there. He had retired. A young woman was managing the shop now. She smiled and asked, "Have you been here before?" Daniel looked around. The shelves had changed. The walls had fresh paint. But the feeling was exactly the same. He smiled and replied, "Yes. Many years ago, this place changed my life." The young woman laughed softly. "It is only a bookstore." Daniel shook his head. "No. It is a place where someone taught me that changing my mind was more important than changing my salary." As he left the store, he realized something beautiful. Sometimes one conversation can quietly change the direction of an entire life. Maybe this video will become that conversation for someone. Maybe that someone is you. Think about everything we have talked about. A rich mindset is not waking up at 4 in the morning just because successful people do it. It is understanding why you wake up. A rich mindset is not reading books just to look intelligent. It is reading because every page helps you become a better version of yourself. A rich mindset is not saving every single dollar. It is learning the difference between spending and investing. A rich mindset is not avoiding failure. It is refusing to waste failure. A rich mindset is not pretending to know everything. It is staying curious enough to keep learning. Many people ask, "What is the fastest way to become rich?" Maybe that is the wrong question. A better question is, what kind of person naturally creates wealth wherever they go? Because money follows people who solve problems. Opportunities follow people who create value. Trust follows people with character. Success follows people who stay consistent. If you become that person, money becomes a result, not the goal. There is one final lesson Daniel never forgot. The old bookstore owner once told him, "If someone steals your wallet, you lose money. If someone steals your time, you lose opportunities. But if you stop learning, you slowly lose your future." Those words stayed with him forever. Every year, Daniel continued learning. Even after becoming successful. Because he understood something that many people miss. The day you believe you know everything, you stop growing. Growth has no finish line. There is always another lesson. Another skill. Another challenge. Another opportunity to become wiser. Now think about your own life one last time. 5 years from today. Where do you want to be? More importantly, who do you want to become? Because where you arrive will always depend on who you become along the way. Maybe you are struggling today. Maybe you feel stuck. Maybe you think success is only for other people. But remember this. Every successful person was once a beginner. Every expert was once inexperienced. Every confident speaker was once nervous. Every wealthy person once knew less than they know today. Nobody starts at the finish line. The difference is that some people keep moving while others keep waiting. Please don't spend your life waiting. Don't wait for the perfect job. Don't wait for more confidence. Don't wait for next Monday. Don't wait for next year. Your future is quietly being built by what you choose to do today. One page you read today. One healthy habit you build today. One new skill you practice today. One excuse you refuse today. These small actions may look ordinary, but together, they can completely transform your life. Always remember this simple sentence. Your income can change your lifestyle, but your mindset can change your destiny. Thank you so much for watching this video until the end. I truly hope you not only improved your English but also discovered ideas that can help you build a stronger, wiser, and richer mindset. Now I would love to hear from you. What is the one habit you are going to start after watching this video? Write your answer in the comments because your words may inspire someone else to change their life too. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, share it with your friends and family, and don't forget to subscribe to the English Academy for more English learning videos, meaningful stories, and life-changing lessons. Keep learning. Keep growing. Keep believing in yourself. I'll see you in the next video. Take care and have a wonderful day.